Michael Voss is the greatest player in the history of the Brisbane Bears Lions. Yet he has to live with the fact that his club dumped him as coach after just 109 games. Welcome, Vossy. Are you over it yet?
Yes, I am. Yeah, very much so. Moved on.
What was the moment where you sort of put it behind you and said, OK, that's history, and now we look forward?
Oh, I think it was probably about November. Certainly once we got to December and I had some time away with the family. They went on a break. We come back from that break and I felt like that we'd completely moved on and separated ourselves from what happened to what I needed to be able to do next.
Were you hard done by?
I do feel a little bit of that. More disappointment that you can't see out a project. And the circumstances around it are still so vague to me. I've got some splattering of information, what people tell you, but it's just that for me at the moment. But I've always sort of felt like there's always something to learn out of it, and that's what you do. But I've always been a person, whether it's been successful or whether it's been failure, where you've got to just deal with the situation and move on, and it's no different in this situation.
The team was 8-11 when the chop came, and a couple of soft ones coming up. Do you think that the board decided we can't let Vossy stay any longer, because if he wins those two, it's then 10-11, perhaps finishes the season with a 50-50 record, it's going to be too hard to move him?
Might have been harder, but I think there were some other peripheral issues that were starting to emerge that, there may perhaps a sense of urgency around the decision that needed to be made at that time. So that emergency...
What? Sorry, what do you mean by that?
I think that there was a definite play for the club to go after Roosie, and that was probably well down the track for another football club, as in he was individually. Clearly the club was very keen to be able to have him on board, and to do that I needed not to be in the position. So they made that decision, and it was probably a lead up to that, from what I can tell, of at least 3 or 4 weeks where they started to discuss that at the board table, and I was perhaps just a little bit late of understanding exactly where that sat, and certainly only really had little bits and pieces of what I thought was going on, but nothing confirmed. So when I rang my wife on that particular day, it was more around, well, it's happened, as opposed to, you'll never believe what just happened.
Yeah.
So there was a sort of sense of almost inevitability in the end that something was happening.
So when you got out of bed that morning, did you think that you were fighting for your job?
Not that day. I did it about 8:05 a.m. Tuesday morning. I got a phone call just before then from Angus Johnson, and he said that they were holding an extraordinary, or holding a board meeting. That was unusual. I just didn't like that phone call. It was, while we had to just go about our business, you can never ever preempt these things, but you can certainly get a strong feeling on something, and it wasn't anything Angus particularly said, but it was unusual.
Angus Johnson, the president. I heard a really good interview with you on your new radio station, SEN, recently. One of the questions was, Michael, what's your relationship with Angus Johnson? Your answer was?
I didn't really have one.
Correct. As of when?
Oh, probably never really.
He's the president of your footy club?
Yeah, well, it certainly wasn't dysfunctional. We operated as the leaders of our football club as professionals. I guess I didn't really have anything outside of that with him.
Vossy, have a look at the monitor there. That's the day, the fateful day. There's the president looking on as you speak. How did you feel at that moment?
Oh, a sense of emptiness, really. Sitting there is a bit of a strange one for me, because as I was talking at that point in time, 24 hours later, I've really got some sense of what's happened, as I said, but really no idea what I'm sitting there for. The results were going, what I felt, in our favour. I thought that the boys had finally ticked over to what we're asking them to do, and was showing some real progress individually and also as a team. And that takes a long time. It's not a simple thing to go through. So then sitting there, I'm looking across a whole group of people, and trust was the one word that just come to me. I just didn't know who to trust at that time. It wasn't anything to do with the people beside me. I just wasn't completely clear about what had happened. And so when you're looking at a cast of people, whether that's media or players or also staff, I've been long enough in this caper to understand that something's happened. Some play has actually happened here. I'm not clear what that is. And so until I am, we've got to make sure that we handle this the best we possibly can.
Your relationship with the younger players as coach, there's been a lot of speculation about that, and whether the popular view is that you didn't involve yourself with them.
Yep.
Is that fair?
Nah, completely unfair. Completely unfair.
5 kids left at the end of last year. Now, is it go-home factor? Were they disenchanted with their opportunities, or was there some resentment with the way the coach treated them?
No, I don't think it's that at all, Mike. I've certainly been held accountable, so I don't... The real answer to that is I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you whether it was this over that. It might have been a sum of all those parts, I'm not sure. But certainly from mine, I'm very confident that wasn't the case. Certainly as a club, as I highlighted already before, there's the accountability that I got, so I have to live with all what has supposedly happened or not happened. So I've got to live with that. As a club, we have to make sure that, and I say as a club, because Brisbane Lions is my club, was that the club is accountable for that also at the same time, because we had an opportunity in 2012, even way back, to ensure that we put the right resources around them, and we didn't do it for whatever reason. That was communicated clearly back to the football club, and in the report that I filed to the executive of the club at the time, I highlighted that if we don't get this right, retention will be a major issue for this football club in the very, very near future. And also we're at risk of not being able to develop our playing group. Now, that's what I communicated back. We couldn't do it. So we couldn't resource it to it, so get on with it. Live with it and do with what you best you can. And that's what we did. And I felt that's what we were doing. We're making the best of the situation we had in front of us, and I thought we're doing it all right. So when you ask me about that, it's hard not to think back to that moment, but it's also hard not to. It's also hard to sort of say, well, yeah, I've been held accountable for whatever that looks like. But at the same time, as a club, we let those boys down. If they decided to leave as a club, we let them down.
Would you do it again? Would you coach again?
I haven't satisfied that answer yet. As I sit here today, I really have just sort of let go of all that. Being not involved in clubland, I would find it difficult not to do, because it's just so ingrained in me. As far as coaching goes, if I sort of had to say an answer right now, it'd be no. Because what I really want to be involved in is a club. I want to be involved in a club, be great support to whoever that may be, and the whole club has to be aligned. If there was ever a chink in the armour in any club, you cannot climb the top of the mountain. You just cannot. It must be all aligned from board right down to its players.
Did you have that alignment in Brisbane during your time? You didn't have it?
No.
Are you prepared to say who didn't pull with you?
Well, it was. I think one of the really big important pieces with any coach is that you have a prime directive from your board, and that was never ever really clear. There was always the challenge with it being, we want to develop, but we've got to win, and so that there's a really confusing mixed message. Certainly in 2011 and 2011 in particular, it was very much about, let's develop, and then after that period of time, it was sort of starting to come back to the winning front, to the point where there was an expectation that we played finals last year, and I was not of that view. I thought we still had another year. Oh, we had to go that way. Our list was not developed. There was still work to do on it. We still had to bring through a group of 18, 19-year-olds that hadn't quite played consistent AFL football. So there was still a lot of yardage to go before we could establish ourselves as a finals-bound football team.
Yet, Vossi, you were the coach at the time that made the run at Brendan Favola and others.
In 2010. Yeah. That's a different time.
It's only by a year, though.
Well, 2011 and 2012 was a complete strategy change, Mike. When we first come in some ways, one of the best things that happened to the club was we won in 2009 and played in the finals. One of the worst things that happened was we played in the finals in 2009.
Yeah.
Because it gave us a bit of a false floor, or a false high, I should say. We made some decisions. We went after Fev. We felt like we needed another A grader in the team, and he was the one floating around. And I guess from a Brisbane point of view, having a marquee player to be able to advertise the game was also one of the attractive pieces.
That's
and we
true.
Went after him.
But you had 5 recyclable.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So it wasn't just Favola. It wasn't Favola and 4 kids.
Yep.
So do you take responsibility for that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course I do. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, as a stand here, you're held accountable as a coach for that particular strategy put in place.
A lot of casualties along the way. One, in a pure sense, Lockie Henderson went, and he's a good player, and that would have been painful. But the more painful one, clearly to you, was your decision that ultimately saw Daniel Bradshaw, your 3-time premiership or 2-time premiership teammate, leave and go to Sydney. Does that decision haunt you?
not so much haunt me, Mike, but it certainly is gut-wrenching. And it still remains with me in fact, it was a complete, almost paradigm shift for me in the way that I went about my coaching, my communication, and, being really clear about what was happening, whether that was in trade or whether that's playing, whatever it was, about, how clear you need to be able to be. And I let Daniel down. I really did. And so from that point on, there was a really huge paradigm shift. And that was probably just the hardest thing to handle at the time. And I've lost that friendship, Daniel. I haven't spoken to Daniel.
Have you made overtures to him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I understand why he's upset with me.
Take us through what happened. My understanding from the outside looking in was that he was up for trade, then you took him off the table, and then you put him back on, and he got totally disenchanted and went to Sydney.
No, it was more to do. I rang him on the Tuesday, Mike, and there was a lot of noise around whether we were going to take Fev at the time. And I'd certainly hadn't come across my table about whether that would happen. I rang him and I said, mate, I don't know what's happening here. I rang Daniel and I said, mate, I don't know what the discussion is, but we haven't been talking about that. So you need to know that from me. 3 days later, I had to make the call, and I wanted to make it to be able to say, mate, we've actually reconsidered that, and we're considering it, and we'd like you to entertain the option of being able to go to Carlton. Now, I just sort of felt like, even though at the time I didn't have the information in front of me, I just felt like I felt like I let him down. I really did. And more than that, I felt like I'd sort of compromised my own values as a person. And when I say it was a real paradigm shift for me, is that probably for the following 2 years, I became a real values-based coach, where it was really important about what we stood for, because in that moment, I really let myself down, and as a result, let the team down.
So explain to me why you feel this guilt about the Bradshaw situation, because hard decisions are made in football clubs. There's something here that I'm not quite sure about why you feel guilty about.
No, that's what it is. That's what it is. Because
because you let a premiership teammate go.
No, not so much that. It was more the communication that I'd actually let him know something, and something else happened.
And then you backed away.
And I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
It's about being right up front and following through on that. When I said nothing was happening, that should have happened.
Did you handle the Luke Power situation better?
Absolutely, because I was straight up front with Luke.
Yep.
Straight up front.
We've spoken about Michael Voss, the coach. After the break, Voss, the player. Okay, now you're 17 years of age. You're playing Teal Cup. You kick 14 goals in a game. The next week, Robert Walls gives you your first chance in the AFL. 17, playing for the Brisbane Bears against Fitzroy at Princes Park. Pick up the story then. Who'd you play on that day?
I played on a bloke called John Blakey.
Yes.
On the wing, and I started quite well.
You had 26 possessions that day.
Yeah.
Fitzroy then made the fateful decision of saying, this kid called Voss has stitched up Johnny Blakey. He's obviously passed it. Blakey gets cleared to North Melbourne and plays another 190 games, including 2 premierships. Yeah,
well, John coached me up in Brisbane, and he relayed that story to me. And I said to him, mate, you should be thankful, because I actually gave you 2 premierships.
Yeah. You were a Year 11 student at the time, were you not?
I was, yes, in the first year.
The money, what'd you get for that game?
Oh, $500. Well, actually, $1,500 for the win. So $500 for a loss and $1,500 for a win. So I didn't earn a hell of a lot.
Pretty good pocket money.
Oh yeah, enough to have a Big M and cherry ripe at lunch. Yeah.
The end of that season, you've played 6 games of football in the AFL. You're 17. Did approaches come from anyone else about perhaps a future back in Melbourne?
Oh, I did. We got a phone call from Collingwood, and an offer was made. Gubby Allen.
Yep.
He had a third party that was making the overtures, but $100,000 was the actual offer. Now my father.
For what period?
For 3-year period. So every year. So of course.
What, $100,000
a year? So I've come off my massive $5,500 for the year,
wow.
Having Big M's and cherry ripes over to $100,000. It was pretty significant. My father took the phone call. I remember I was in the lounge, and he said, "Oh, you never believe I just got a phone call from Collingwood." So that's interesting. And he said, "Do you want to go?" And I said, "Oh, not really. I'm in school at the moment." He said, "Oh, okay." So I left it at that, and then a week later I come back and said, "Dad, actually, now I come to think of it, how much did they offer?" And he said, $100,000. I said, "What, a year?" He said, "Yeah, absolutely, over 1 year." And I said, I might have gone for that. He said, if you are going to be as good as I think you can be, then you'll earn 3 times that.
Wow.
So I thought that was a really good lesson.
Sage
My dad
advice.
was teaching me a really good lesson in being able to work out what's important first.
Wolsey was your first coach, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What did you learn? What was the enduring lesson from your relationship with Wolsey?
He was relentless. Look, in hindsight at the time, I didn't enjoy some of his coaching. He was brutal. But there was 2 things I learned from him, and probably many more. Professionalism and work ethic. And he taught us to train like nothing else. And we'd 3v3s, 2v2s, 1v1s. We'd play Saturday, we'd get beaten, we'd turn up Monday, we'd train 3 hours, we'd train 3 hours on Wednesday, we'd train 3 hours on Friday. And I think that fundamental training that he taught us over that period of time, absolutely no doubt, set us up for later years.
Did you soak it up? You were a kid then. Were you a sponge, or did he almost get to the point where he could break your spirit?
Well, I think he always tested it in some ways. I had in '94 when I played, I received some strong feedback from him, and
like,
I was
what's
injured.
That mean?
Very strong feedback.
Yeah, what's it mean?
I was there with crutches. I was in the corner. I'd only played 2 minutes, so I thought I was free from a spray, but I was actually the only bloke that got one. Vossy, you promise a lot, you deliver very little. You come in here with your hat on backwards and you're looking at your muscles in the mirror. He said, you train Wednesday, son. And I missed 12 weeks.
Really?
So that was.
What injury was that?
I did my knee, and then I got glandular fever.
Okay. Yeah.
And I hurt my knee, and one of the reasons I got glandular fever is because I trained so hard to try and
to respond to him.
I ended up getting glandular fever, and I ended up missing 12 weeks. Having said that, though, that conversation to me was the catalyst of why I won the Brownlow in 1996,
was it?
And why I won the Best and Fairest in 1995. Because that stung me bad, real bad. And I just sort of thought, you know what, he's right. I hated it, but he was right. I wasn't working hard enough. I'd taken my eye off the ball a little bit in terms of where my football sat and my training, and he just realigned me with a big whack.
Lethal was different. I mean, still could be stern, but
yeah.
Lethal was your coach in the 3 premiership years, Lee Matthews. What lessons from life do you take from him?
I don't. From Lee, how long have we got? Besides my mum and dad and my brother, my sister, he's the most influential person in my football terms. He's like a dad to me. Don't need to talk to him every single week, but he's just been such a father figure to me for so long. He taught me to be a real leader of men. Had a real profound effect on me as a person, challenged me at a different level. But I just thought Lee and I just worked. I don't know what it was, whether we'd aligned, I don't know what it was, but we just worked. When he spoke, you could guarantee my thing for him was to go back to the players, and I'd say exactly what he said, that when we walked out on the field, that I was going to be the coach on the field and implement his plan, what he wanted.
I can't talk to you without raising the name Jason Ackermanis. You were my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, you were close to him?
Yeah.
And you had a falling out. Now, I want you to talk to me about Acker the player and Acker your friend.
Often Acker would request a room with me whenever we roomed away. I was always his roomie, and we'd have plenty of late night philosophical chats about certain things, and I love those. I really, really do. But there was a time, I guess, where Lee was fantastic for him. He absolutely really was. He's fantastic for him, and he's fantastic for the group, because Lee educated that Acker is different to us. He's going to break the mould sometimes, but what he's going to do is he's going to make you better. And he's a finisher, and Vossy will make you better, and Lynchy will make you better, and Leppy will make you better. And he was right. He was actually 100% right. The falling out occurred because I felt like it went completely out of whack. And I had to tell Lee at the time, I felt like he was doing more harm than good.
Which year are we talking about here?
So when it finished in 2006, that's what happened. But Acker will always be regarded really highly from my point of view, because he was such an incredible contributor to our football club.
I want to give you a low point and a high point. The low point surely is the game against Freo in Perth when you broke your leg.
Yeah.
Yep. You weren't allowed home from Perth for how long?
7 days.
7 days. It seemed quite innocuous watching it. Did your shin?
Oh yeah, my shin hit his hip, and I was going at some sort of force. So I thought the ball was going to drop early, so I picked up pace. when I realised there that I'd actually overcooked the flight and I had to pull up a little bit and adjust my jump. And that's when I cracked it on Parker's hip. And I can remember it frame by frame. I remember going up, hearing the crack, almost falling, and then looking down and seeing about the graphic details, but just, my leg just snapping sort of to the right. And I had Shane, one of our trainers, been able to carry me off with the stretcher, and he was holding my leg. And the graphic detail and all that is at every step we're taking, my leg's just doing that one. I was just in excruciating pain.
How long did it take you to recover? I know you played, I think, round 2 the next year?
It'd be 18 months. Yeah.
18 months.
I had a steel rod inserted for a good 12 months or 18 months. But yeah, I come back and played. One of my best individual achievements that's not really highlighted when people read things out was my 1999 All-Australian, because I played in a lot of pain that year. I hardly trained.
With the rod in or out?
Yeah, with it in.
Yep.
And to get up game by game it was really hard. It took every single bit of me to be able to get up.
We talk about your achievements. One of the moments that every football lover really cherishes was the collision between you and Scotty Burns in the grand final. What did you say to Burns?
I honestly cannot recall. I've been asked that question a lot. I just remember going down and thinking, A, get up, but B, if I stayed down, it's like, you take out the captain and sort of, the rest go a little bit like that. For some reason, I just had that in my head, because that's what it was like. It was just an instinctive thing to be able to go do, but to this day, I don't know what I said.
You weren't a bad sledger, were you? When you're talking about owning the field, there's a bloke who's got the same surname as you. He was on the end of some sledging from you, wasn't he? Brett Voss?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
He was. Take us through that.
I made a reference to my dad sleeping with his mum. And
I still laugh at that. I've heard it 100 times. I still laugh at that.
I made that reference. He was having a shot on goal. In reality, it was probably not likely. It was about, I was standing about 50 metres out, so it was going to be a good kick. And he ended up missing the goal. But I sort of shared that story, and it's grown a little bit of legs over the time. Yeah.
There you are on Brownlow Medal night 1996. The bloke on the right, James Hird. Has your feeling towards Hirdy changed given the political events at Essendon of recent times?
Oh, there's probably a little bit left unsaid, I must admit, Mike. It probably has a little bit. But I still tend to think that, from my view, I've shared something really special with Hirdy. I guess it'd be wrong for me to be able to sort of judge about what I think has or hasn't happened.
So you don't have a view, or you don't want to share the view?
I'd rather not share the view, yeah.
So am I right in suspecting that you're a bit negative, or more negative towards him now?
No, not necessarily, because I think it's important to be balanced, and I don't have that balanced view right in front of me.
Because you don't know enough of the information?
I don't know enough of the information.
Okay. Vossi, I know why Lethal loved you. I mean, he would have seen himself in you. I mean, very highly skilled player, hard, courageous, and liked hurting blokes. That was you, wasn't it?
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. Grew to like it is probably a better way.
Yeah. Well, I want to give you... I suspect that your hit on Alan Richardson at the Gabba, was it not? Yeah. Was probably as heavy a bump as you've dished out, was it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. Because it came from a long way away, and I perhaps only had one intention once the ball went over his head.
Perhaps.
Well, it was. And it worked out that way. You certainly don't like to hurt people. When I say hurt people, you like to have a good physical contest. Probably the thing I remember the most was the fact that Wally Lewis was sitting on the interchange bench with Dipper, two of the hardest blokes that I've certainly come across or seen, certainly from my time in Queensland, and obviously observing Dipper from a time, and they were sitting right there. So I thought, there you go, Wally. See, we are tough.
If you hit Alan Richardson today, or if a player today hit another player like you hit Richardson, what would the match review panel do?
Straight to the tribunal, probably get about 6 to 8 weeks.
You mean that? This is a serious question. You think with the game's changed that much that would get 6 to 8 weeks now? Yeah,
because my intent was clear a long way away of what was going to happen, and I got him high, even though he lunged at the end. I did hit him high. I was just thankful that he was okay. But yeah, today it would be. I reckon it'd be 6 to 8 weeks.
When that happens, and you are a fair person, I think we're all agreed on that. Do you feel the need to, say, ring Richo or get someone to ring Collingwood to see how he is, or not? That happens in the field of battle.
I've always sort of, that field of battle, that white line has always just been, as long as you're staying within the rules, and it's when you feel like you go outside of that you perhaps got to go and, make amends or inquire, apologise.
Have you ever done that?
I did it once, and it was more at the end of the game, and it was quite a vicious game. I think it was the final against the Bulldogs, and I carried on a little bit towards Ramiro and
Libba
after the game, and I regret that because
verbally,
yes, absolutely, and went at them pretty hard, and it was the end. And I believe that you compete really hard. I learnt to let go of like on a football field. Because, if you walk over the white line, you can't be liked. You've got to be respected. And respecting is about how you go about it. And it's also about playing within the rules that you're being given. And yes, we're there to stretch the rules at times, but playing fair rules. And I breached them on that occasion. And I was very apologetic about what actually happened.
Apologetic to them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So were the remarks racist?
No, absolutely not. No.
The one blot on the Voss image publicly is a nightclub incident in St Kilda in 2007. Now, there was some adverse publicity there.
Yeah.
Publicity you wouldn't have been proud of.
Yep.
It was an embarrassing moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was quite a strained point because it went on for a long time. But the decision there, I guess you look at those particular situations, look at the decision and say, well, we should have left before it eventuated. But I don't regret the brand of backing up my mates. Mm-hmm. So the choice of leaving before it eventuates, that's a decision that we could all avoid. But when the situation unfolds, I'll never stand and let my mate be able to stand there. So, in the end, as a consequence to those actions, Mike, you're accountable to the law, and the law held me accountable, and fair enough.
You were a clean skin, though, weren't you? I mean, that was
absolutely.
Yeah. Were you alleged to have king hit a bloke that night?
King hit, no. But I did strike, yes.
What's your most cherished moment on a football field?
2001, holding the cup up with Lee. That would be the absolute cherished moment. To stand there as captain, I dreamt of it from a very young boy.
There it is, mate.
And
geez, you look a very young boy there too.
Oh, yeah. And it was just a magic moment. It's hard to describe. I don't think anyone's really described it that well. And the reason why you can't describe it is because your whole background and whole story about the ups and downs, and you talked about 98, it all comes back in that moment. And I've watched, premiership teams stand on the dais time, year after year, after year, after year, looking at it and going, I want to be that person. I want to be that person. I want to be that person. So to stand there, which I only thought was going to be once, but to do it a few times was just an incredible feeling.
You're one of my all-time favourite players. I mean, all the football lovers love the way you played your footy. It's been a magnificent career, and you've handled yourself with great dignity in the coaching situation. And I do personally hope you get another crack at it.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Vossi.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
This has been a Fox Footy production for Fox Sports.